Hello, I just thought that this is going to be a new thing that I'm going to do on this channel where I'm going to talk about each new episode of Deal or No Deal Island after it premieres. This was something that I said I wanted to do in my 100 sub milestone video, but now I finally decided to deliver on it. So basically how this is going to work is for each week I'm going to be providing a quick video about the overview of the episode, my thoughts on it, and my future predictions about it going forward given the events that happened in that episode, if that makes any sense. Let's start with talking about the episode itself first. So from what I could gather, each episode seems like it's split into 3 acts. The first act being the challenge to get the cases. The second act is like the downtime or the intermission before the temple, with the third act being the temple and the elimination. In the first act, it's basically like the same thing that's present in the sneak peek. The 13 players each get the cases from a mud pit, and there are 2 red cases, and Joe basically just tells the contestants who's the biggest gambler. And after nobody gets a red case, Joe offers a contestant $10,000 to someone who gets a red case. What's in those red cases is one either contains a low amount and the other contains a steal, which allows the player to steal a higher valued case from another player. The 2 players that went back in the mud were Kim and Branson. Branson originally wanted to get the red case for himself, but decided to give it to Kim since it seemed like she was struggling to get through the mud. After Branson gets the red case for Kim, the case is opened and it then turns out to be a steal. After Kim's case is revealed to be a steal, she then says who has the $1 million case, and whoever tells her, she will not put up for elimination in tonight's game of Deal or No Deal. Dawson then confesses that he has the $1 million case, to which he gives to Kim, putting him up for elimination. After that's done, all of the other contestants open their cases, and the one that had the lowest value, that being Aaron's at $150,000, was also in the bottom 2 with Dawson for that episode. During the second act, everyone was talking about how Branson went back in the mud to get a case for Kim and telling everyone that he blew it by doing that. Branson then senses that he has a giant target on his back and begins acting super apologetic for his actions, to the point where it makes the target on his back even bigger than what it previously was. I should also mention that for the camps, they're staying in tents with like hammocks and beds, and they have access to plumbing and fresh fruit, so they aren't like really surviving like on Survivor. But then again, this is Deal or No Deal Island, so it kind of has to have that to, make it more differential from Survivor. But let's be honest here, it's not like the contestants on New Era Survivor are really surviving anyway. Once night falls, all 13 players are sitting together in a circle and talking to each other about their life background and what they do for a living. What's interesting here is that Claudia revealed that she was a former model on Deal or No Deal, to which one of the other contestants, Amy, revealed that she wants her gone because she wants an average Joe to win this game. When Kim also revealed that she's a big fan of reality TV competitions, she mentions Survivor as one of the shows, to which Branson adds in saying that she might know about Boston Rob's game. Hearing this leaves Rob flabbergasted, as he now believes that Branson has a bigger target on his back because of his actions. Branson even revealed in that confessional that he knew he had a target on his back and is trying to move the target onto someone else. In a similar manner to Claudia and Amy, one of the contestants named Jordan wants to get Rob out because of his perceived celebrity status. One more thing to add about the night gathering is that Boston Rob says he hates this part of the game because he knows it's fake and they're all going to turn on each other later on. To which he brings up his rulebook, where the first thing to do in the official Boston Rob rulebook is to listen and pay attention, to which he tries to do to gather information about the other players. The next morning, Branson decides to talk to Aaron since he's the one that's most likely going to play tonight's game of Deal or No Deal against the banker. All of the other players basically catch sight of what Branson is doing, and it makes him public enemy number 1. Branson tries to help alleviate this by talking about how he's playing for his family, to which it ends up annoying the other players even more. Boston Rob takes note that Branson is pretty much public enemy number 1 among the other players, to which he tries to convince Aaron to get out his perceived rival in Stephanie. Why Rob wants to get rid of Stephanie is because Stephanie lied to him about what value she had in her case. At the temple, Kim sticks to her word and puts Aaron in a game of Deal or No Deal against the banker, sparing Dawson like she promised. At the end of the Deal or No Deal game, Aaron had 2 cases left in play, one being valued at $400,000 and another valued at $600,000. He rejected the last offer, which was valued at $445,000, and his case ended up containing the $600,000 prize, making him safe from tonight's elimination. If you're wondering how the Deal or No Deal gameplay is incorporated into the eliminations, basically what happens is if the player makes a good deal, i.e. they sell the case for a value higher than what's in their case, then they're safe and they get to choose which player goes home. But if they make a bad deal, which means they sell the case for a lower value than what's in their case, then they're eliminated. And since Aaron made a good deal, he gets to choose who he wants to send home. Well, everyone except for Kim, because she had immunity because she got the highest valued case. Aaron ended up choosing Branson to go home because of his perceived distrust among everyone else, and from there the episode ends. Overall, I thought this was a really good first episode of Deal or No Deal Island. One problem that I have with it is that it felt like the airtime wasn't evenly distributed among the players, because it felt like we didn't hear anything from Nick, Miranda, Alyssa, and Jamil. We heard snippets from Claudia, Jordan, Amy, Stephanie, and Dawson, and most of the screen time was allocated to Boston Rob, Aaron, Kim, and Branson. One thing that I liked about this is that there were some contestants who admitted that they were only in this just for the money, like Amy for instance. This feels like a change of scenery compared to New Era Survivor, where it feels like this was everyone's bucket list and dream to be on the show. And having someone who admits to doing the show only in it for the money just feels like a breath of fresh air if you ask me. Another thing I liked about this is that Aaron's sob story is about what's happening in his present rather than his past, like most New Era Survivor sob stories. Why I like this is because it makes Aaron seem more sympathetic given that he's going through a struggle today compared to most of the New Era Survivor players where they're working a comfy white-collar job today but had a traumatizing youth. I could forgive their shitty past if they were struggling today, but they're doing really well, so it almost just makes it seem very pathetic if you ask me. Even though this show doesn't have voting anyone out, I like the amount of strategy that was there, such as Branson's strategy to go and help Kim to make him come off as more of a heroic image, or how Boston Rob is trying to convince Aaron to not vote out Branson so the target can still stay on his back. This just goes to show that a game like Deal or No Deal Island, which doesn't have a vote out and instead have eliminations based on a game of Deal or No Deal, have a good amount of strategy involved outside of the game. Speaking of the Deal or No Deal game, I love how they kept it mostly unchanged and only added in the twist where if the player makes a bad deal, they go home, and if they make a good deal, they get to choose who goes home. Because it makes it feel like that everyone can be a target despite not being in the bottom 2. Well, except for that player who has immunity. As for what I think is going to happen in the future, I predict that Amy and Jordan would most likely work together to take out all the big name players like Boston Rob and Claudia because of their success. Even though Amy and Jordan didn't talk in this episode, there's a good chance they could work together next episode to try to take out the big name celebrities. And because of this, a part of me thinks that Boston Rob isn't going to last long this season. And this is mainly because he got a good amount of screen time in this episode, to the point where it makes it seem like the NBC executives are trying to get as much out of him as they can before he goes within the short time he was there. As for Claudia, a part of me thinks that she has some longevity going forward because of how invisible she was in the premiere despite her being a big name figure. because her being a former Deal or No Deal model would be enough to give her a lot of screen time, and the fact that she doesn't makes it seem like that the edit is trying to set her up for someone who goes far in the game. But that's just me. What do you guys think? What did you like and dislike about this episode of Deal or No Deal Island? Who's your favorite player out of everyone remaining? Who do you think is going to go far in this game? Feel free to leave your takes in the comments below, and I'll see you next time.